Hi guys! In this video, we're gonna see which verbs can we use with verb to be to have the past simple. Let's take for example two verbs. Verb monter, which is a verb of the first group and which means to go up, for example, go upstairs, and verb descendre, which means to go down and which is a verb of the third group. For example, go downstairs. So, to use verb monter in the past simple, we say je suis monté, tu es monté, il est monté, elle est montée, nous sommes montés, vous êtes montés, ils sont montés, elles sont montées. And for verb descendre, we say je suis descendu, tu es descendu, il est descendu, elle est descendue, nous sommes descendus, vous êtes descendus, ils sont descendus, elles sont descendues. So, to use a verb of the first group or third group in the past simple, we use the auxiliary to be in the present. We keep the radical of the verb and we add the appropriate ending. So, for verbs of the first group, the appropriate ending is a. And for verbs of the third group that ends up with re at the end, the appropriate ending is u. However, I'm sure that you have noticed something different with the ending, because for some subject pronouns, the ending is a only or u only, and for other subject pronouns, the ending is a plus s or a plus e or u plus s or u plus e. So let's explain all these. Let's get back to verb monter. For the subject pronoun elle, we have elle est montée. So we said that a is the ending of the verbs of the first group in the past. But what is the additional e for? So, as the subject pronoun elle is for female, we need to add e in order to separate male and female. And this is the same for all subject pronouns, which means, for example, that for me, as I am a female, if I want to talk about myself and say je suis montée, I'm gonna write it like this. Je suis montée with e at the end. Okay? To show that I am female. Also, if you are talking to a female and you want to tell her tu es montée, then you should write it like this, tu es montée, with an additional e at the end. Okay? But if you are a male or if you are talking to a male, then you don't have to add e at the end of the past participle of the verb. Let's see now what happens with the other subject pronouns. So, for other subject pronouns, there is an s at the end of the past participle of the verb. The s here is to indicate the plural. So indeed, for example, the subject pronoun nous is for plural. So when we use it, we should add an s at the end of the past participle. Same thing for other personal pronouns vous, il, and elle. But What about a group of female if they were talking about themselves? So, as it is obvious, a group of female is plural. So, if a group of female were talking about themselves, they would say nous sommes montés, and it would have been written like this: nous sommes montés. So here we have the letter E because we said that E is added to show that we're talking about female, and we have an S to say that it is plural. Okay? Same thing for the subject pronoun vous. If you were talking to a group of female, you would have said vous êtes montés, and you would have written it like this: vous êtes montés. So this feature of separating male and female exists only with verb to be, which means that whenever you use a verb with the auxiliary to be to make the past simple or the past continuous or any other tense, as long as you use the verb with the auxiliary to be, you have to play with the letter E to separate male from female. This rule does not apply when you use the auxiliary to have. For the S, it is used only for the plural. So here are two important rules. Rule number 1, with verb to be, we separate male and female. And rule number 2, for female, we add E to the end of the past participle of the verb, and for the plural, we add an S. So now, let's take a look at the verb descendre. We can see the same rule is applied. For female, like for subject pronoun elle, we have elle est descendue. The letter E at the end of the past participle of the verb shows well that we are talking about female, which means if I had to talk about myself, I would have said je suis descendu. And the S at the end of the past participle for the other subject pronouns shows well that we are talking about plural. But now the question is, how can I know which auxiliary should I use with which verb? Well, for the list of the verbs below, you will always have to use them with the auxiliary to be. So we have verb naître, which means to born, mourir, which means to die, décéder, which means also to die, entrer, which means to enter, rentrer, which means to enter again, sortir, which means to go out, ressortir, which means to go out again, aller, which means to go, venir, which means to come, revenir, which means to come back, devenir, which means to become, redevenir, which means to become again, arriver, which means to arrive, partir, which means to go, repartir, which means to go again, passer, which means to come over, repasser, which means to come over again, rester, which means to stay, retourner, which means to return, tomber, which means to fall, retomber, which means to fall again. For all other verbs, to make the past simple or any other compound time, you use them with the auxiliary to have. As you have probably noticed, I did not give any example using a verb of the second group, and that is because there is no verb of the second group that can be used with the auxiliary to be. In this table, you're gonna find only verbs of the first group and third group. So as long as I know, there is no verb of second group that can be used with the auxiliary to be to make the past simple or any past tense. So that's all for this video. Hope you liked it. If so, drop a like below and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any video in the future. See you next time.